Boom! Hey, YouTubers, Juggernaut here, just sitting back with nxtlvltech and Rohas on Beyond the Streams, and that's right, they wanted to chat with me. Relax, enjoy the video.
So I wanted to start this the category like a couple of things that we talked about earlier. But for somebody coming in that doesn't know about seed boxes, how can you explain to somebody who has got no clue what it is, what it does, what can you do with it, what are the capabilities? You know what I mean? How would you explain that?
Well, there's multiple uses for a seed box. Now, a seed box, just like on its namesake alone, is where you're seeding. You can seed what's on that, so you can share. You can make it grow. It depends what you want to use it for. If you want to put it into use a seed box for, and you don't see very many people doing it right now, for downloading, torrent downloading, you can put it on there, use a seed box. But what we find right now, mostly use seed box is a storage device, either that is online, that you can put content on there and access that content. Now, there's services that have seed boxes. The reason that they do that is because you don't actually have to physically own the box. It basically, you're just renting it, and you're renting storage space on servers. And what it's used for now, again, we're going to snowball into it, is for putting content on that you can watch, movies, TV shows, music, listen to, things like that. And how you can access that is by any media player that will access that box over a network, like your internet. So there's VLC, things like that. But the most one that gets used is Plex. So jumping from the seed box, which is a storage, online storage that you can use to go on content or store content on it and access it from anywhere around the world, any internet connection you can have, or any device that connects to the internet via internet connection or mobile device, your cell phones or things like that, is to access that content. Now, if you want, we can start talking about Plex. That's
Well,
right.
I mean, why would somebody want to use a seed box versus storing their content locally, let's say?
They'd have to weigh the options. If the content that you want to store, whatever it is, whether it's just file storage content, like as in movies, TV shows, music, things like that, if you're just going to access it in your network, if you're just going to want to access that at home, well, then you can do a local storage. You can set it up to local store on there. You can also set it up on any network that it is accessible outside your network. So, I mean, you could have a local storage device, whether it's on a laptop, a PC, your router. A lot of routers have a USB that you can put an external hard drive to it. There's no network storage devices, NAS boxes. The options are vast on that. But then if you want to access that outside your network, then you could be taxing onto your network. You're gonna have to be knowledgeable on how to set up your router or anything like that, so it can be accessed securely from the outside. If you don't set it up secure enough, and someone malicious is looking for some way to access a device or just like that, it may leave it open to some sort of attack or some that someone could attach to it. If you don't want that, if you just want the simplistic part of, I'm going to pay this much a month or a year for this amount of storage, then they do it online. And when it's online, like I said, when it's like, people use the term in the cloud because now the internet is the cloud, but online, you can access that anywhere, and you don't have to worry about setting up your network. You don't have to worry about configuring routers. You don't have to worry about configuring security or anything like that. You get a username and a password, and you can access it. That's the difference between the two.
Now, what about bandwidth? Like, if I was to, let's say, set up a NOS device in my house and access it remotely, not locally, what would I look at bandwidth in regards to speed and all that kind of stuff versus a seed box?
bottom line, there's always two factors on there. The push and pull is like how I talk about it is your network at home. If you're going to access any content on a storage device outside your network, then you are relying on your service provider's speed, and that's going to pull information from your internet, because basically it's just pulling from your IP address. It's going to find your address, go to your device. Now, when you get into the very detailed part of it, a lot of service providers offer you, like in Canada here, example is mine. I have a fiber optic, but my fiber optic is only 300 download and 300 meg download, and I think it is only 40 meg upload.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody is trying to access my content on a local drive, my local storage, they're going to be using that upload speed. They're going to be limited. Like you may run into bottlenecking where it's not able to pull that amount, pull data fast enough to either be streamed or things like that. Mine, luckily, is at 40, but a lot of the regular packages that my service provider sells is 100 down and 5 up.
Yeah, I have 10 here. Yeah.
So it can be done, but you could run into problems of how long it takes to download a file if you just using it for storage. If you're wanting to stream, the actual quality or the resolution or the file size of the content will play on the quality you're gonna be able to watch it, because that echoes off the amount of upload you have. So why I say the push and pull is let's say I'm trying to watch something from nxtlvltech, and you have 10 up and I have my 300 down. My connection to you is going to try to pull as much as it can for my download, because I have that free open space. It's like a 10-lane highway, but I'm going to yours, which is a 4-lane highway, and that's where the bottleneck is. My pull from you is going to be more than what yours can push. So You're going to run into where you could get buffering or stuttering or dropouts, or there's many things like that. That's when you're doing it from a local storage. Some people are blessed in the States; they have 1 gig. Like supremebuilds, like himself, has 1 gig up, 1 gig down.
That's when you're looking at internet packages that say they're untethered. That's what the upload speed matches the download speed. It's like, yeah, we don't have that here in Canada, at least not not main providers, at least.
No, that's right. And when you're getting to untethered too, it kind of also encompasses the any caps. Mm-hmm. So you're capped at so many gigs of upload going out of your local network, or some packages, depending where you are, rural places, they only have so many gigs download as well. Mm-hmm. But that usually runs into phone packages now that people depend on. Now, when you're using a Seedbox, Seedbox by default, if it's a good service to have, they will have 10 gig or 20 gig up and down, or up. I mean, sorry.
That's crazy speed. How do they even get bandwidth like that? Like, I don't even understand.
Well, that's the thing that I've been actually looking into lately, is because I want to find out if that's a constant or is that a burst speed. Because when you get from service providers, if you read the fine print, they will say up to 300 megs. Well, that means it's a burst speed. That's not, it may not mean it's a constant. Your constant could be 100, which is still good, but because these are large numbers. But yeah, when there are providers of seed boxes, we keep saying we say seed box. The one I deal with the most is Ultra Seed Box, and they're 20 gig lines. So you get the bottleneck, if there is a bottleneck, it's going to be at my end trying to pull that information from there. My download is going to be slower because it's a 20 gig compared to a 300 meg. But again, when you're transferring that much data, it's It depends on the file size. A true 4K file is like average 55 gigs.
Yeah, about that.
55 gigs for a true 4K file. So when you're trying to watch that, you are physically transferring that data, like it's being transcoded or it's being sent to you, or you're pulling from it. There's actual that much data going through your internet lines.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's beyond me how that doesn't gain up on your like be stored on your local device or things like that, but that's for another show. But if you're looking at bandwidth, or you're restricted, or your internet package because either budget or availability is would be the portion of this whole equation for using a seed box that would actually slow it down or cause you issues. That's when you have to weigh your options of local or online.
Just listening to your
my ramble.
No, the speeds. Are you talking about speeds? We had a conversation just recently about a group. I think it was a group in London that. Well, do you remember what the number was? It was something about
176.
176 terabytes of download speed. I'm just like, they were saying that they could pretty much download the entire Netflix library in under a second. And we were talking about like, how is this even possible? Like what are they using to even test this? There was like a huge study. I'll see if I could send you the article later for you to look at. But
you know what? And I'm trying to remember. I remember something like that, and that was the biggest thing. Just like you said, is how. Is it all how do you say that word? Theoretical?
Yeah.
In theory, we could do that based on this speed. Now, are you actually, you have that speed of your internet there? But let's say, and where did you say this was? Was it in the UK or somewhere?
UK.
I think it was in the UK. It was some college that was testing it.
Okay, so at that college, and let's say they're trying to access the Netflix library, and let's just say for giggles, that the Netflix library is in Orlando, Florida. Okay, Orlando, Florida, the fastest speed upload that they can get is 100 meg. Wow, that terabyte speed is now bottlenecked to that. Like you're not going to be able to pull like that. That's just not going to happen. You'll run the max speed because it's free falling, like that speed. But and it. See, so many things come to my mind. You have that connection, but that's an intranet connection.
Yeah.
Like, who's providing 176 terabyte speed? Like, are you testing that at the university that they actually hardwired, like Dragonfire fiber optic, or a fiber optic to direct to your system, to that system that's doing it, and you're downloading internally? Because there's no service provider that has that speed. Yeah, we don't truly know how the service providers, like I don't know who's your provider for your service, Rohas.
Spectrum.
Okay, nobody knows except for Spectrum themselves, or whoever is actually the person behind it, the true amount of full bandwidth that Spectrum has. Do you know what I mean? It's because it kind of makes you wonder, where we have our fiber optic here in my area, where the max speed we can get is 300, and then I think it's going up, and another service has 600. Okay, so if you have 600 meg off one, and it's on one trunk, so like the city that I'm in runs only two trunks of fiber optic. So let's say everybody in my city, 11,000 people in my small city, let's say we're all on fiber optic, and we're all at the 300 level, and we're all on at the same time, and not having a problem. What does my service provider truly have? They have to have something to provide all that, so it has to be super high. So these people that are doing that in the UK or wherever, it must be just a unique and setup to allow them to boast that speed, but it's useless.
Yeah,
it's like I have a 2,000 horsepower motor sitting in my driveway, that's as big as a boat, but I only drive a Chevette.
It's funny when you start to talk about bottlenecks, because it's one thing to download at 170 something terabytes, but what hard drive do you know is writing at that capacity as well?
What's the fastest speed on an SSD?
SSD, you're looking at about, I think, 6 gigs a second.
6 gigs a second. So yeah, so the most you could even write, again, full speed, that is 6 gigs. Yeah.
And that's not even getting into the conversation about the hertz. It was in the same testing that they were doing, they were comparing like the megahertz, the gigahertz, and then they're saying that this was pulling out, was it like 16 terahertz? It was just like mind-boggling. But if you look at so when you start looking at everybody in your neighborhood has 100 megabytes of downloads, up to 100 megabytes that burst. And then you start thinking about, like, wait, how many customers do these guys have, and where is this one server or this one location that all this power is coming from? That means that place has to have some serious amount of power to really be pushing that. Because one of the things I'll tell you here in the States, which is, I think it's kind of interesting, is people will say, recently, 100 megabytes, top speeds, fastest lightning speed internet. Then this is what all you need. Some time passes by, and they're just like, we've now upgraded from 100 megabytes to a gig. Now you have different options. And I'm over here thinking, like, wait a minute. When did you ever come to my house to change any kind of cables that went inside my house? You know what I'm saying? But when I connect my modem and router, or actually, I'll take that back. When I do absolutely nothing with my modem and router, and I do that speed test, and all of a sudden I see that gig, I'm like, what the hell do we have underground that you guys already installed? Who knows how long ago? And if now we're talking about 100 and some, almost 200 terabytes of speeds. Okay, as we know, a 4K, we're talking about 55 gigs, give or take.
Yeah.
8K is coming. Actually, I should take that back. 8K is already here. They're already talking about this stuff. The different types of like the PlayStation, the Xbox, all the new stuff, the new types of gaming styles where it's pulling what is it like it's not artificial intelligence, but it's artificially thinking of a simulation of what could be, with endless possibilities in a simple video game, which means something's got to be pulling so much information so many different ways. It's almost like, okay, what do we currently have right now for real, and why are we pushing these speeds up? What's coming next? Like, what is it that you guys are preparing for or trying to test for or something? That's, for me, that's kind of where my brain starts going. I'm just like, wait, what's about to happen? What's going on here?
Well, and then on the other side of that too is if the infrastructure is already in place and they didn't come and change any cables, any LAN cables, any above ground cables, any modems or anything like that, why didn't they offer this before?
Well, maybe it comes down to bandwidth. Maybe they weren't able to provide the bandwidth that the infrastructure was capable of handling.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing, is that's the true thing that we don't know unless you're like directly working with it and know that and make those decisions for providers. So that's why I was just saying, like about that 176 terabytes or like that. We don't know what they're being provided, and the power to run that server. Now, to run those servers or to run any type of backbone to actually provide that, just imagine the cooling, because everything generated causes heat, no matter what. It could be minute amount of heat. It could be, but if you're something like that you're pulling, again, backtrack. I always use that word. If you're using anything that's using a amount of power that climbs or escalates into a large amount of power, using power generates heat. There is no way around it. You can do things like SSDs use a small amount of power and there's no moving parts, so they don't heat up all the time. But they can heat up if they're designed to pull more power in order for faster speeds. Again, more power you use, more heat it's going to generate. So cooling this network or the actual physical devices to provide that speed. Holy smokes! Man, I think they're BSing. I think somebody typed something wrong there, and then just went with it. Don't you think that? With people who have all these questions, is like, okay, haha, you're going to download the Netflix library, but okay, where are you going to get it? Netflix library is not in one spot. Their speed may not be as fast as yours. And the person who did this, oh, geez, I meant 176 gigs. Oops, instead of 176 terabytes.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way I could see that possibly happening is if they're hitting multiple servers at the same time for the same file, right? Because even when you do a speed test right now, it's not going to download 100 meg file to tell you that you're downloading 100 megabytes a second, right?
Yeah.
It downloads a smaller size file and it does an average of how long it takes and does, a projection of, if the file was this size, this is how your internet connection would handle it. That's essentially what it does. So it's not like they would download 176 terabyte and they would need 176 terabyte file, but they would still need like a terabyte of a file or something really large to gauge that, I would think.
Yep. So a little bit of knowledge we can throw out there real quick for somebody. If any speed test online or application that you use, take the time to go in and choose a server that's not in your zone. Ooh. By default, they will go into your, like SaskTel is my service provider. That speed test the online, the called speedtest.net, whatever, will automatically pick a server in the SaskTel network. It automatically picks within your network. And if I use a VPN and change it to, let's say, the Netherlands, it picks another to do the speed test from that area. So pick it outside, like when I go to do it, if I'm doing a speed test, I'll like a lot of times I like to pick Nevada. I'll pick Nevada, like in the States, coming from Canada, or I'll try to pick different locations other than where I am, because if I go from here to where the town I live in, or it's the city I live in, and like I said, it's 14 kilometers to the big city, Saskatoon. If I pick something in there and my speed is 300 download and I'm getting 290, I'm like, oh, that's fast speeds. Okay, but if I turn around and I go to pick Toronto, Ontario, and I'm getting 100, okay, well, that's more of a true reflection of the speed you're going to be using from there. People get confused by speed tests. People really get confused when they're doing speed tests on Wi-Fi in your network. Because my wife is messaging. Oh, by the way, it's my 25-year anniversary with my wife.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Congrats.
This is what you're doing for your anniversary?
She's at work right now. She is at work. I was supposed to be at work, but we got rained out. Yeah, 25 years today we've been together, and
that's amazing.
We're quarter century, and we're coming up on our wedding anniversary is on the 20th. Yeah, so we've been together 25 years, more than half my life.
That's awesome.
I'll be 50 in December. Yeah,
hey, that's awesome.
What day, December?
2nd.
My son's 21st.
So is mine.
Of December?
Yeah, my oldest son, he's 30 years old, is December 21st.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Well, my son's not 30. He's going to be 13 this year, but close enough.
I'm Ukrainian, so my Baba and Guido, so my grandpa and grandma, their birthdays both were on December 22nd.
Wow!
So so the 21st, 22nd, then Christmas, then Ukrainian Christmas in January. Whew, busy couple months.
Yeah, for real. So how can you explain then when we're talking, because you were just starting to talk about the Wi-Fi, like doing the Wi-Fi speed test and doing, and I know like the I don't know what the word is. The dumbest thing everybody says, well, the only difference between Wi-Fi is, or Wi-Fi and or doing a speed test Wi-Fi versus doing a speed test hardline is one's wireless, one's not. So how would you really explain, like, okay, look, this is like the true differences between the two?
Well, a lot of people, when they don't realize, when they talk about their wireless, they'll say, "Well, my wireless, I get 100 meg from my service provider." Okay, well, when you're talking about wireless, you're talking about wireless signal rate. So 2.5, no 2.4, and it's actually 5.8, but 5 gigahertz.
Mhm.
That people say, well, okay, well, that's 2.4 and 5, the difference between them, there's quite a lot. There's like, range wise, penetration wise, things like that. But it's the speed that people concentrate on and the amount that you can get between those two, the 2.4 and the 5. And anybody, when they go look online, he's like, oh, what's the difference? And they'll tell you that, this is the speed that you can get maximum while, using those. Which I can't remember what they are. So give me, I just need for 2.4 versus 5.
And I
I
know
just
it,
want,
it also has to do with distance too. It's not just
yeah, it has to do with distance and that, because 2.4 has more penetrating. 2.4 will expand more out from your router, and all Wi-Fi signal, like a lot of mistake people make is when they actually get your Wi-Fi router installed, or a router with Wi-Fi, is they put it against a wall. 2.4 will penetrate when the signal comes out, but your signal on your router, like, it's sitting like this, or it's sitting on the wall like this, it comes out this way. It doesn't come 365. It comes like this. It's like it's a 180 arc on that. 5 gigahertz doesn't have quite the penetration, or is the other way around? No, 5 has less penetration, stronger signal rate. 2.4 gets affected easier by metal structures, your microwave, running devices, or anything like that. Your phones, if you have wireless phones in your house and stuff like that. But back to speed testing. I get on a tangent about things like that. Is they learn the numbers that you can get. Okay, with 2.4, it says the max I can get is this amount, and 5 I can get this. That is not your download speeds. That is your connection from your device to your router.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, like, oh, I have 5 gigahertz, I can get up to 6 gigs. Well, that is from your device to your router. Now you are from your router out, so your wall out, to your internet service provider. So when you do a speed test on there, so when there are speed tests that for Wi-Fi that'll actually test the amount of data that it will pull within your network, and then you get your speed tests that are actually pulling from the outside network. People need to know that the programs that just you use, like where you're testing your Wi-Fi intranet or your infrastructure speed, is few and far between. Most of them will be pulling from the outside, but because as of recent years, I don't know when it was, Wi-Fi was only single duplex. So like a single line highway transfer, you're downloading this way, you're uploading this way. Where if you're doing landline, you have multiple, and the more bandwidth, the more speed you have, but it's information's moving like this, like a double lane highway. While with the introduction over the years of 802 or 811, 802.11, is that what it is? 802.11, then AC, for your internet, then you're getting into double duplexing. That's why a lot of people are able to do teleconferencing and meetings now on their phones a lot easier when they're using Wi-Fi or things that are not mobile data. Before, it used to be pretty jittery. You would lose either a video dropout or things like that. then you get into routers that have MIMO and stuff like that. Like there's lots of technical stuff in there. But I mean, with Wi-Fi, if you have a good Wi-Fi and you're not getting a lot of interference, can be just as reliable as wired. You backtrack to the 4K stick. My 4K stick is totally wireless, and I have no problems with that. You know, I have a shield that's wired, and every once in a while I run into a problem where I have to reboot my router.
So you talk a little bit about interference. Can you tell me about channels?
Not really. I don't have a lot of knowledge in channels.
Well, I mean, channels are like highways in themselves, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's applications that you can pull up to show you how diluted these channels are being used, right? So some of the most common channels is like 11 and I think 3 or something like that. But you can pull up applications on your phone and see which channels are being used the most. And sometimes if you're using a channel like a Wi-Fi channel, and it's too diluted or there's too many routers in your neighborhood using the same one, that can cause a lot of interference as well.
Yeah, and basing on that too is when like my routers, I have a Linksys, and in there you can change your channel base for and power outage, power I guess not outage, but your power level on your router for wireless, because you can make you dial down your power or you turn it up. That'll give you more signal output. Like, so if you are running at a 80 on 2.4, I think it is, your neighbors will pick it up. But if you're running at 40, you're going to have it within your house. But yeah, channels like that too. That's what you said. That's my basic understanding of that one. I never got into that very much, because I'm one of those guys I don't really care about it, to be honest. But it's like more and more when I'm getting into different devices, wanting to do different things, is setting the channels so they're not diluted. And what I can't remember what's the one of the programs that will allow you to look at your channels. It's not that and a TUI or whatever, is it?
Analytics.
Analytics
is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's one of the best speed test apps out there right now, in my opinion. It shows you a lot of information. It's not as simple as this is your download speed and this is your upload speed. They give you a lot of good information. But some people are misled, because when you do a simple speed test with them, it shows you can stream 4K, you can stream 8K, you can do this, you can do that. It's not that simple. So I tell everyone, don't go by a simple test. Always do a detailed test. Actually read the numbers, understand what they mean, that kind of stuff. So,
well, the biggest thing that when we do, regardless what it is, like the term we use a lot is cutting the cord or things like that. But anybody who's doing anything on streaming, whether it be using a service like Netflix or Hulu or Prime or anything like that, need to understand that the limitations of those services, and you watching content of 4K or you watching content of 8K, because anybody who's watched my videos or anything like that knows that I'm a person who battles, because your eye physically cannot determine 4K and 8K. Your brain doesn't process that amount. Like, your eyes physically can't do that. But in certain circumstances and size, like, if you have a 4K screen and it's this big, you can tell how sharp it is. But our 4K is only 2K. It's not 4K. They just jumped on the resolution, and because it's 2180, they 2160 by 30 something or whatever, that's a resolution. So it's all close to 4K, but it's only 2K because they're pulling the other resolution number. You know what I mean? Like 1080p is what they're talking about, is the size of your screen, and 1080p. Then you're running into 2160. Now 2160 on there is 2160, but the other length to be what do you call that? In not equal to, but what do you call that? Oh, geez, I forgot. I like the word for it. Pardon me? proportionate or whatever that is 3,000 something. So that's like, okay, well, it's 4K. That's why I jumped from 1080p to 4K. It's actually 1080p to 2K.
Now, Rojas says he can see in 16K. So, just saying.
Well, your eyes are developed to only to have, they have filter tubes. This is where it comes in, where I was doing College of Medicine, because they talk about that. Your eyes have filter tubes. Yes, it can determine colors, 16 million colors and things like that. But resolution is based on how many of these tubes or filter tubes or whatever that's in your eye. You're limited on the amount that's in there. So you can't push any more in there. It just physically can't see that. That's just like the lights. The lights, you know, when you're looking at a light between 60 hertz and 120 hertz, your brain can only process 60. It's physically incapable of processing any higher hertz. It just doesn't do it unless you're bionic. But hey, but I've watched, you can see the difference. Avatar is one of the big things that I like to bring up. You watch the movie Avatar and you watch it in 4K, and then you watch it in 1080p on the same TV, and the 4K, it does look way better. But
yeah, it's supposed to, because I know the thing is, you are not able to, your brain's not able to process everything that's coming through. But that quality picture of how it looks like, I'll tell you this. My eyes, they in the military, they used to call me eagle eyes. I used to be able to shoot 500 yards, no scope, and I used to hit my target wherever the hell you called it on. And I was really, really good at what I did. Well, because of all the stuff that what I used to do, my eyes are all completely jacked up now. So, well, I wouldn't say they're completely jacked up, but for somebody being where they could see, you know, where they used to call me an eagle eye, because I used to see, you know, put me on a field, you know, 500, you know, how many yards are in a football field? You know, put five of those, and I'd be able to sit in on one end. You could sit on the other end, and I'll be able to tell you, like, hey, you know what? Which mold do you want me to hit, or which freckle do you want me to hit on whatever's face, you know? Like, I'll be able to see all the little details and hit it. Now, my eyes aren't that bad now. Like, well, they're bad. I need glasses now, you know, especially at nighttime. At nighttime, my eyes are all jacked up. But every time I go in, they tell me, they're like, yeah, your eyes are actually not that bad. You're 26 over 24. They're not 20/20, but, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, but for me, I feel like I'm going blind. Like, I can't see stuff, you know? But I'll tell you this, when I do have the TV that I got, the 4K, I got a Samsung QLED 900 N series. I don't need my glasses. I could, the TV is huge. But two is the quality is so good, even though my brain might not be processing it. This is one conversation that we had in the past too. If you watch a movie, and it doesn't matter what resolution. Actually, you know what? Let's kick out 4K and 1080 out of the picture. Anything 720 and below. If you're watching a movie, it's clear and everything. You see it. Every time you watch it, you'll learn something new, or you'll find something new, or something new out of that video, right? With the 4K, if you're doing anything 4K or 1080, as soon as you watch something and then you rewatch it again, it's almost like you missed it. You're no longer finding something new. Now you're just like, wait, when was this in the movie? You know, like, just completely different. So for me, typically when I watch some of these movies, I'm over here like, okay, 4K 3D, give it to me all. You know, like, I want to see. And for me, for some reason, it's just the quality picture is just nuts. And some of these new ones, the 8K, it's getting to the point where it's like too real. You know what I mean?
Well, how it tricks your brain is when you're getting higher than 1080p, is when you're looking at 1080p and even set like 720, 1080p and everything, that when you're looking at an image, your brain is processing the entire image. When you're getting into 4K, it's spot image. So where you're looking, that's where it's processing. That's why you're missing some of the things that happened over to the right or left. And when you watch it a second time, you're veering from that center point or wherever you're watching, because that's how your brain is trying to process that much data coming through. I do have to say, though, is when you're talking about 500 yards away, there's a complete difference between distance and resolution.
For
So
sure.
if you were to put a TV at 500 yards, 4K, it's going to look like a far TV. It's not going to look like, you based on your brain is going to assemble the image of what you're looking at. And yes, you do have to have sharp eyes for that. Most definitely 500 yards, but distance and resolution, your brain processes it different. But that's what I learned about 4K is like when you're watching a movie and let's say you're staring at someone's face, there's always stuff happening in this area on the guy. It's the same resolution, but your brain's not processing that. It actually blurs those images that out of your direct range. And but it's less of a blur or less noticeable when in a lower resolution. When you get to a higher resolution on there, because you're focused in on here and your brain is working so hard on that spot you're staring at, you do miss the things on the sides. You physically have to move your head and to process and stuff like that. But that's the firing of your brain.
Yeah, for sure. With a lesser resolution, I feel like, well, for one, resolution, I have to wear my glasses. Like that's like the first thing. I have to wear my glasses because now I'm over here like I'm like and I've done this before with one of my older TVs. It's a 1080. I'll be sitting there and I wouldn't notice that I was just doing this, you know. And
And it hurts your eyes, eh? Yeah, when you
yeah,
look
like
at something lower, yeah.
yeah, when I'm done, I'm just like, oh, where's my? I'm like, I need water drops. Like, I need like, I feel dry. My eyes feel dry. And the wife would tell me like, dude, you need to stop squinting. I'm like, I'm not squinting. I'm like this. I'm not squinting.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you're definitely squinting. And so once I finally started catching on, on like, dang, like I can't believe I'm actually like I cannot make my eyes any worse than like what can I do to make it better and stuff. So I really started doing research on the different types of TVs, the different types of filters, the different types of screens, the glass. Like I went in through this deep hole on just like, well, like what's the quality between going to Walmart and you buy a 4K $60 TV versus a 4K $10,000 TV, same exact size or something. And when I was really looking at the research and just pretty much standing in front of it and seeing it for myself, I'm like, okay, I know it has to do with parts and everything that they put on. There's sometimes the name brand pushes it too. But yeah, once you start getting into some of the higher quality, it's with my TV, the way I have it set up, my 1080 in the family room, um, it's at a good distance where I should use glasses, but I sometimes don't. But I know I should, and I do squint. I do realize that. In the other TV, it's a bigger one, and I'm just like, I want it. The distance needs to be a certain way so the size of the actual screen would be the same size as the other one without putting it right in front of me. And this is me talking to the optometrist and like talking to them like, how does this work, how does that work? And they were just like, try this, try this, try this. So I get the TV down there, put that distance in there, and I'm sitting there just like comfortable, not squinting, nothing. Every now and then I'll be like, you know what, I should put my glasses on just in case I ever start squinting again, because I shouldn't force my eyes anyway to begin with. Um, but at CES, when I was checking out some of those 8K TVs and knowing what I know now, like, okay, stand this far away from the TV and take off the glasses, and then just look and see what it does for you. And I was putting some 1080s and some 4Ks. I'm sorry, 8K 4K side by sides, and I'm just like, it looks like the 8K is like too much, like just too much.
It starts looking more realistic. Like you notice when you see things like TV shows or things like that, and it feels like you're just staring through an open window and it's live action on the other side.
Yeah.
I noticed that when I watched the first 4K content I watched like on a TV program was like SVU. That's that Special Victims, Law and Order thing.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it and I'm looking at my wife. I said, doesn't it look like we're sitting looking through a window? Like it looks real, But and then that's so when what's that?
That's so true. It's I went through a weird stage, and I told this to Next Level too. We were I was watching on my TV, regular DVD, and we were, well, I'm watching this DVD, whatever, right? Blu-ray. A couple years later, Ultra Ray. A couple years later, Violet Ray. I'm like, what the fuck is all this, dude? No, I'm just gonna stick with my DVDs. Screw you guys, And well, I had my family used to call me. Do you guys know what Blockbuster is?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They used to call me a mini Blockbuster because I had so many freaking movies. I literally had a wall, and it was just stacked and stacked and stacked, and it was just ridiculous. So I finally said, you know what? I'm going to get these bookcases, which I still got them. I ended up buying these book bags, and I took all the DVDs out of the cases. I cut the picture, and I slid it in there, and I put the DVD in there. So now I have like several of these cases now. And I was like, hell no, man, I got all these DVDs. I don't want to upgrade a Blu-ray. That's dumb. Like, just a freaking marketing scheme, like, what's next? Black Ray or something, or Diamond Ray. I'm like, no, this is dumb.
They're just gonna throw different elements or colors in there, and I gotta buy it.
So what got me to switch, and I was on the TVs, I wasn't really so much about 720, 1080, whatever the hell it was. I'm just like, looks good, we're good, whatever. What got me to change my mind, because I know that when the Blu-ray started coming out, a lot of those 4Ks were coming out, and those were just stupid expensive. I'm like, they're just trying to suck you up dry with your money. That's all it is. My friend, you remember how they came out with those curved TVs?
Yeah.
Yep.
Holy crap. So my friend had one of these curves. I'm like, you're dumb. I'm like, they suckered you in, dude. He's just like, no, just watch. So he puts in a Blu-ray, and he's got his 4K, and we're sitting there, and I'm watching this, and I'm just like, dude, this is like my first impression was like, this is nice. Like, nice. And
I take it back.
Yeah. So I'm just like, dang. And he's just like, well, he's like, the 4K is good, but honestly, it has a lot to do with the Blu-ray, with the information that's on the discs. He's not even a tech guy either, but he likes his entertainment. That's the one thing he's not tech savvy at all. No, he calls me and says, hey, he's the one that will call you and say, what's the number to 911? And be honest about it and be like, dude, it's like, come on, seriously. He's got an Android phone. I'm like, dude, how do you have an Android phone? You don't know how to use like anything, But when it comes to his entertainment, he's like, I hate going to the movie theaters because freaking popcorn's expensive, the soda's expensive, and then you got to sit next to somebody that freaking has snots all over their face, or somebody else that's laughing, or it's like you go to the movie theater to get this experience, but you don't get the experience because you have all these interruptions and you got to spend all this money. And so he's just like, I want to be sure that I have a really good system at my house. So he's the one that actually initially got me thinking about it. I'm just like, well, I guess let me check it out, And I got the TV downstairs. It's a Samsung. It's a 1080. I'm just like, well, let me get this Blu-ray. Works good. Works great. It has the 3D interchangeable, so I can make a channel that's not 3D into 3D. With the active glasses, those are the ones that are battery operated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got that thing, and I'm just like, dude, this is awesome. Now with this new 4K thing and their new, I don't even have a DVD player for it, but still, I just see the difference between the two. I'm just like, dude, what? Yeah, and then now, what's going to be next? 5D, whatever that is.
Well, that's why, like the curved TV, why people do like it when they get it. It's because to take full advantage, you need to be like within a certain distance from it. And it curves to the curve of your eye. So you don't have a flat screen that's going like this, that you're missing what's happening on the sides, getting close to your peripheral. Like, then it's curved like this. So you're seeing more. So you're seeing it where it's sharper. You're seeing more action in it, but that's not for me. I don't know. I feel funny if you try to hang a curved TV on your wall and you got something that's a low profile mount. It's like there, but you got 4 inches of TV sticking out like this. It's like that bothered.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah. Go ahead.
What else you got to ask me? Come on now, ask me some questions, man. Me and my buck teeth.
I'm gonna ask you something else too.
Sure, you were.
Completely lost it. No, it had to do with the bandwidth and the ping and latency. Ping and latency. People get those two confused.
Well, you should base it. You're on like a lot of gamers are going to base things on like your ping, your actual your time to distance or your network hops when you're going ping. The higher ping that you're going to have will actually cause. Whoa, StreamYard just did something funny. Your ping is going to actually cause you to have motion in there or stuttering or anything like that when you are trying to play or stream anything that is online, because it's the infrastructure. A lot of the times what they try to do is when they try to base ping is people say it's like from one computer to another computer on the same network. When you're doing ping, but ping gets affected from your network out to outside your network. So when you're going to do any streaming or things like that, and ping and latency are combined, as in ping is the time for communication. I'm trying to just simplify this. Okay, ping is the time of communication between your computer to either any other computer, inside, outside your network, or anything like that. Latency is the time that it takes for the ping to come back. So if I'm pinging Mark's computer, there's a ping, and it gives me 30 milliseconds. All right, so that's the ping is telling me that it's a 30 millisecond ping, like it take ping there. It's 30 milliseconds. It went through all the hops, like it went through all the different networks or all the different things. Latency is where it's how long it takes for the ping to get to the computer and to come back. I mean, man, I'm having a hard time explaining that. It's latency is the time that it takes ping to communicate to the computer. The ping is actual the timer. I don't know if they want to use if it's in the distance. It's the signal rate. I'm trying right now. The reason I'm kind of stuttering and stammering is I'm trying to think of an analogy that I like to use with motors and things like that, and I can't think of one with ping and latency.
It's really like, ping is the whole round trip, but latency, so half of the trip is you sending that signal to wherever it's going to its destination. And then latency is how long it takes for wherever you sent that signal to send it back to you. Like how long, I guess, the travel time is of whatever you're trying to connect to is able to connect to you in a certain time frame.
Flip it around. It's the other way around. Latency is the time that it takes the ping, your signal, to go and come back. Ping is the signal rate or signal time. Yeah, latency is the round trip.
Latency is a round trip?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, my bad.
Let's see how many people got confused after hearing that one.
I know it's like it's so you know, when you try to explain it to somebody, but you don't really. When somebody asks about it, unless they technically want to know the actual either the technical term or the technical side, they just when I hear that the lower the ping is better, yes, okay,
Done.
you know, they don't, you know, like this is my ping on my shield, you know, so because an example is I had a coworker. I don't know if he liked to play games or whatever like that, but he went to always to the network test on his shield. And he noticed that the ping was too high, and he kept calling the service provider. And he actually switched from. We have two providers here. He switched from one and went to the other because they did a test and the ping was lower. And I'm like, so like, what are you doing that depends on that? All you're doing is using your shield. You're not playing games or your streaming is fine. You're whatever. I just want it to be lower. Okay. All right. Yeah. And if you watch this, Dennis, his name. Yeah. It's like, yeah. And he'll probably, sometimes he joins the things, he'll probably say something. Yeah. Ping's got to be lower.
Well, I mean, there are situations where ping does make a big impact. Like I was troubleshooting somebody that was using satellite internet that had a 900 ping. Well, of course, you're going to have issues with streaming.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter how fast your internet is. If you have a 900 ping, you're not really going to get anything to stream that's half decent.
Okay, but so what is a good ping number? We always say like this, you know, we always tell people like, oh, you should have about this much for your download speeds, or if you're going to do upload, you should have X amount. Upload kind of varies, but more of the download because we're trying to stream. But what about ping? What kind of ping for streaming for? And I know this varies gaming also, but what is a good comfortable? I don't know if we want to do like this is like extremely good. This is where it's like you might have some issues, but it's still good. And this is like, okay, once you go beyond this number, good luck.
Well, you know, when you're looking at ping, ping is actually is the term that's given to the signal traveling from point A to point B. Latency is the actual number itself. So your ping, so your signal to go from point A to point B and from point B to point A is 30 milliseconds or 8 milliseconds or anything like that. Your ping is not the time. Your ping is actually the signal. They could have said your signal. Your signal has a latency of 8 milliseconds. So the time, a lot of times people will say latency equals like lag, your lag time. So the higher that latency. So again, let's say you're physically looking at the words. You pull up right now, if you go to your command prompt and you say ping Google, you're telling that signal Google. And then when it comes back with that time is your latency. That's not your ping. The ping is actually the name given to the signal. You could have said signal Google. The number you get back, that's latency. So however that is. And when you have a higher latency, means it's taking longer for packets, network packets to travel to the destination and back. So the higher the number could equal into lag. You know, you could have lag in a game, a slower internet access on something, but because there's so many redundancies and stuff like I'm just thinking the last time I went and looked on my shield and stuff like that, my ping was 4 milliseconds, but that's testing to the NVIDIA servers. Here's an example. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to go.
I usually say that you want to aim for less than 30. That's usually the ballpark that I give. If you're hardwired or if you have a really good connection, you'll generally get, anywhere between, like 4 to 10. And those are really good pings or really good latencies or whatever you want to call it. However you want to skin the cat.
So if you're going to speedtest.net, that number that you get, my ping milliseconds is 17. Is that my ping or latency?
Latency.
So
It
they're
just said, well, the example is I just pinged google.ca. So going from my my address out to there, they're sending a packet of 32 bytes. Time, which is latency, is 32 milliseconds. Time to live is 118. So packet sent 4, received 4, lost at 0. Approximate round trip time in milliseconds is 32 milliseconds. Maximum 35, average 33. So when it gives you that information, when you go to like your command prompt in Windows, and it gives you that information, approximately round trip time, that's latency. The number that it gives you is your latency.
Okay. So so a lot of these companies have then just been mislabeling a lot of this stuff.
Well, it's they called it a ping, because ping is the name of your signal. Like that's what it is the packet, the signal being sent to, and that's why I've never understood why they put it in speed tests when you do it in there, because it's supposed to be from computer to computer or device to device in your network. Mm-hmm. Well, nxtlvltech is not in my network, but if I go to ping his IP address, well, how can that ping be really accurate? You know what I mean? So that's why it's going to change, like going to have a high latency, or who knows? You could have a good internet, could be a low latency. Like I just tried from within mine on my laptop, running wired, my 300 meg line, and I got 32 milliseconds for latency. But I go on my Shield and do the test, I get 4.
But it also depends on what you're pinging too, right?
Yeah. I pinged google.ca.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying 30 milliseconds is where you should be at.
I say, yeah, that's the general rule of thumb, 30 or lower. That's what I say to people.
Yep.
I normally tell people 70. I go a little bit higher because
you like to cover your ass.
I like to cover my ass. But so there's some games that I've played online before, and I've noticed I always have that millisecond pop up as I'm playing live stream, and I want to see that number. I want to see it move. I want to see what the hell is it doing, and I never have any issues when it's under 70, like 0. And this will be like one popular game, for example, League of Legends. I've been trying to get next level in on it. League of Legends is an online game, and you have about 10 people that are playing, 5 versus 5. And everybody has their own little roles and everything, and you have all these bots and minions and all kinds of stuff that you do. So there's a lot of information that's going through. But everybody has to be pinging their servers, or that has to be coming back to see what it is that you're getting. So typically, if I'm under 70, I'm like, okay, I'm experiencing nothing. So what I normally tell people, if you're 30 or below, you're doing amazing. If you're 70 or below, you should still be doing good. Just keep an eye on that download speed. Once you start getting to 100 or up, then good luck with stuff.
Yeah. With because my kid plays either Call of Duty and Fortnite and all that stuff on his PS4, and then with his PS4 wireless, his ping was like, I think it was like 120 or something like that. And I'm like, okay. He goes like, Dad, I'm always, feels like he's behind. I'm always getting killed and stuff like that. And back in the day when I played, I'm going to copyright back in the day, because I probably said about 100 times during this whole thing. When I used to play a PC game at Battlefield, I belonged into a clan, and we played the tournaments worldwide, stuff like that. So I was always making sure that my ping was low and things like that. So he was running wireless. and I ran a wired connection from the router to there, and his ping, so when it comes up his ping, so his latency went down to 18. And he's like, Dad, I am kicking ass. He goes, I'm, like it seems like I'm faster. I said, no, it's because your network packets. So when you're playing a game, your network packets equates into your images, it equates into your movements. You go to fire your weapon, that bullet traveling, or the time frame that you see it between you and it hits your mark. That's the latency. That's what gets affected by a higher ping. And now that it's like that. And he changed rooms. When he changed rooms, I couldn't get the hardwire to his room, so I went and got one of those TP link things. It goes through the power. You put one. There's a plug-in right by my router, so put it in there, plug it into the router, and then I plug the other end into a power outlet in his room. And it actually his ping is still only at 25, and so he's still loving it. So I mean. You can get affected by games in your games.
Yeah,
for sure. So so this is the part of the show. We're already getting towards the end of it here. I hope everybody that's been listening or watching has learned something today. There's a hell of a lot of knowledge that got dropped right now. But Jugs, anything you want to say? This is your time to say whatever you want to the people, to whoever's listening or watching. Go for it.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank Next Level and Rohas for having this platform in YouTube and other podcasts and everything, which I hope you guys are putting it out there. All the different media outlets that you guys are broadcasting across and doing things, because I think that's awesome. It gives everybody a chance to listen anywhere. If you can't pick up on these here on any device that you're on or anywhere in the world, you're not looking hard enough. But I also like it that when you do live shows, and I've learned from it, and the reason I'm mentioning it is we're doing it drama free. So anybody who's watching YouTube or listening or things like that, don't waste your energy on anything negative. And I'm not just talking about this community or anything like that. I have a theory, not a theory, it's a saying that I have, and it's just, if I can't control it or change it, F it. And I'm not going to swear on there, but just F it. Just like you have the F bucket. I don't waste my time, and it could be anything. It could be you have somebody you don't get along with. And if you can't change that environment or change it, then F it. Well, just don't do anything about it. Move on. Be positive somewhere else. You have to pay this. You owe this. You have to do this. You have to conquer this. You have an obstacle. If you can't do it, and you got to learn to when you can or can't. I don't say negate trying, but I mean, then if instead of becoming stressed and have drama, F it. Put in the F bucket and walk away. That includes like when you are on YouTube or listening to different channels, you're learning things and stuff like that. Drama is good to watch and enjoyable, but just like the good news, the bad news, the train wrecks, you just watch it. And if you watch it, you want to watch it for enjoyment, just to see like, oh, what's happening now or things like that, then fine. But if it's something that affects your life, your income, your enjoyment, then just walk away. I've done that and I feel way better. When it comes to cutting the cord, we say it across. That's the one thing that everybody agrees on. Do your research. Learn from different people. Learn what is good. Learn what is real. Learn what will work for you, and then base any decisions you're going to do on that. Make sure to check out everybody's YouTube channels, everybody's Facebook groups, Telegram groups. Join as much as you can, and then filter it down. I did that. I was part of probably 10, 15 different things, and now I'm down to 6, and 3 of them are mine. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I was coming into this this show thinking I would try to think of some things to put out there and educate people, or try to tried to leave a lasting memory in people. And I'm hoping just by being myself and, you know, you learn some about me and would like you to come and, you know, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I haven't been on a lot lately, but I've been on other people's shows, and I'm going to be changing that because I'm coming to the end of my season for concrete. So that means if I don't secure employment doing something else, I'm going to be sitting on this big butt during the winter. And while idle hands, I like to do YouTube. So search for the Juggernaut channel and go check me out. I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to think of something witty. I'm trying to think of something that's concrete, but I'm going to end my spot like this, like I normally do on my broadcasts, my videos and things like that is today is the only day that's guaranteed. Tomorrow is not. If by chance that you are called home to any higher power that you have, and we are the ones left behind, try to make it that it's not negative. We want to celebrate your life and we want to celebrate you. We don't want to be mourn or we want to worry about any drama. So on that note, make sure you contact anybody and everybody in your life that you love and tell them exactly that you love them. No time like the present, you know what I mean? So, and it's love, peace, and chicken grease.
Love it.
Love that ending. I always love that ending, Jugs. In the description of wherever you're watching this, you will find all the links to Juggernaut's channel. So make sure you jump over there, you subscribe, you show them some love and some support.
Absolutely. And yeah, I always crack up every time you say that. The chicken grease. Chicken grease is good for you. I don't care what anybody says, it's delicious. So yeah, just once again, thank you very much for coming. This has been fun. We always, you know, we're going to be exploring some more stuff in the future, so hopefully we will be able to get you back on here. Maybe a future episode of something of maybe what the hell will be pretty fun. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
If you haven't checked out the what the hell episode, we did one yesterday. There's one dropping today. And today, right?
Yep.
Today, yeah. So it's normally a well, we've been exploring 2-part episodes with the hell just because there's so much what the hell is going on here. But I think it'll be fun to have you. But check it out and maybe it could be something we could bring you in as a guest on those episodes. So with all that being said, make sure if you guys, wherever you guys are listening, wherever you guys are watching, make sure you guys look at the description. You will find Juggernaut's YouTube channel and his information there. Very knowledgeable guy, and you could learn a lot. Of course, make sure you guys leave us a comment below. Even if we do not comment back, we do read every single one of them, and we really truly appreciate every single person who's following and subscribed to us. And with all that being said, one of the things that we'd like to say here is you guys take care and take care of each other.
And stay humble and be patient.
We'll see you guys soon.
Peace.
Peace out.
Thank you.